Hey everyone, today we are looking at my top 5 books to read this year. If you're anything like me, you might struggle to get through books. I remember in middle school being able to devour book after book and not being able to wait until the next one in a series comes out. As an adult, however, I struggle. That being said, I've been trying to make it a priority to read more books in my day-to-day life. If you're anywhere close to being in the same boat as me, then you might want some recommendations for where to start. That brings us to my top 5 books to be reading this year. Number 5. Calvin and Hobbes. Some of you might be thinking, it's not exactly a book, it's a comic book, more like a bunch of comic strips. Well, if you're jumping back into reading after a long time of not reading, starting off simple with short comic strips can be a nice way to warm up. Calvin and Hobbes is not only funny, absurd, but it's thoughtful, wholesome, and timeless. If there's ever a day when I feel super stressed out, I can always rely on sitting back, reading a couple of Calvin and Hobbes strips, and feeling generally better about day-to-day life. Number 4. H.P. Lovecraft, The Complete Fiction. H.P. Lovecraft is a classic horror writer, one of the writers that inspired the works of Edgar Allan Poe, and his influence can be seen in many modern horror movies. The nice thing about the majority of H.P. Lovecraft's works is that they're all short stories, making it easy to jump into. Some of his classics include The Call of Cthulhu, At the Mountains of Madness, and The Color Out of Space, which was adapted into a pretty wild Nicolas Cage movie for those that are interested. Whether you're new to the horror genre or a longtime horror fan, you can't go wrong with one of the classics from H.P. Lovecraft. Number 3. Ponzinomics, The Untold Story of Multi-Level Marketing. This is a lesser-known book by a great author, Robert L. Fitzpatrick. Ponzinomics is about the origin of the very scammy multi-level marketing industry in the United States and abroad. If you've ever had a friend that's fallen into a deceptive multi-level marketing scheme and wonder how and why these schemes exist, then this book is for you. Statistically, you are likely to be approached at some point in life by somebody trying to pitch to you a multi-level marketing scheme. So if you want to prepare yourself, I highly recommend reading a copy. Number 2, Sapiens by Yuval Noah Harari. This one is a classic and has been recommended by many book reviewers. Sapiens, A Brief History of Humankind, covers the entirety of humanity's existence from the dawn of humanity up until where we are now. It sort of gives you a bird's eye view of the entire human race and shows how small coincidences, when compounded over time, have an effect we can see in our day-to-day lives and how society is structured. It also shows why Homo sapiens are the dominant species of the planet and outcompeted every other human-like species. It is nonfiction, but it reads like a novel. So if you're interested in finding out why your life may or may not suck, I highly recommend picking up this book. And finally, number 1, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. One of my all-time favorite books. I've read it a couple times. It's always worth a reread. And if you get a nice hardcover version from Barnes & Noble like this, it comes with all 5 novels in the series in one volume. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy is an old but classic sci-fi comedy adventure filled to the brim with absurd humor, wacky situations, but also written in a way guaranteed to change your perspective on the universe at large. So if you're feeling overwhelmed, stressed, confused about anything, don't panic. Pick up a copy of The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy and let it guide you to the extraordinary. Thanks for watching. This has been my top 5 books to be reading this year. If you have any books that you'd recommend to add to this list, please leave them in the comments down below. I'd love to read every recommendation and tell me what you think of my list. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.